any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people,
officers.
throw them in the jail, 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man, list it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are there to...
say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement,
do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on. And you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel.
Of the U.S. military against members of the protest. Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh, my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party about whether to go after Iran. Have you commissioned any day after planning? So any force protection, any use of ground troops in Iran, any cost assessments? Because I don't think we doubt what we can do as a country in the attack. It's the day after with Iraq and Afghanistan that so many of us have learned to be so deeply concerned about. Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
Okay.
And I would also reiterate how we began, that there will be a classified portion of this 15 minutes after we.
This is precisely the reason such inquiries must be raised. You might support or oppose Senator Slotkin politically, yet whenever our armed forces operate within our borders, the public demands unambiguous boundaries regarding their jurisdictional reach, undeniably. Furthermore, the lawmaker never suggested that destructive mobs be permitted to assault police officers. Actually, she clearly stated the reverse, asserting that anyone hurling debris at authorities or instigating harm should face immediate apprehension and legal charges. No one contends that aggressive acts require a blind eye, yet this is exactly why the nominee's effort to merge dangerous instigators with peaceful demonstrators feels incredibly maddening. The inquiry focused on the military, asking under which specific conditions enlisted personnel would apprehend citizens. What exact operational guidelines govern their actions? How will they react when demonstrators challenge them? Are these units permitted to utilize deadly countermeasures? Will tactical monitoring or digital intelligence tools target civilian demonstrations? These inquiries are completely rational. Such topics represent exactly what lawmakers must investigate anytime combat units operate within national borders, and the senator maintained pressure because the provided responses proved entirely inadequate. The truly astonishing moment during this dialogue occurred when she referenced past Pentagon leadership in their allegations regarding internal executive branch discussions amidst the significant civil unrest of recent years. The appointee countered by basically advising her to remain skeptical regarding published literature, making a singular exception for religious scripture. Honestly, is that a sufficient reply? You testify before the legislative branch regarding the possible deployment of armed units against civilians, and rather than plainly declaring an absence of orders to fire upon unarmed crowds, you deliver a punchline regarding literary credibility. Please address the prompt directly, since this issue transcends political affiliations entirely. Liberals must require transparent explanations from conservative cabinets, just as conservatives must expect identical transparency from liberal leadership. No citizen desires any commander-in-chief possessing absolute power to transform our national defense apparatus into an internal partisan enforcement agency. Our armed forces wield tremendous capabilities, which makes establishing firm lines between tactical deployments and standard civil policing so vital, meaning the representative's larger cautionary message warrants serious consideration. The public must never observe their defense personnel and question if those squads are mobilizing for valid safety reasons or merely serving as a chief executive's ideological theater. Furthermore, our enlisted individuals must never find themselves thrust into such compromising situations. Those brave professionals enlisted specifically to shield our founding documents and the nation as a whole. They must never serve as partisan pawns for any administration or ideological faction, so whenever a legislator questions the Pentagon chief regarding operational limits, the response must arrive swiftly and without ambiguity. Rather, we witnessed the testimony devolve into constant disruptions, charges of partisan maneuvering, and debates regarding the alleged statements of prior cabinet members. Such behavior offers zero comfort. The senator was undoubtedly forceful. She obviously entered the chamber prepared for combat, yet beneath the dramatic presentation rested a valid inquiry that the nominee required complete readiness to address head-on. Identifying the boundaries is crucial, as customary domestic troop deployments amid partisan tensions make those very restrictions incredibly significant. Currently, you could endorse an executive making such choices due to shared border perspectives or riot management tactics, yet what occurs once the opposition commands the Oval Office? Would conservative voters feel secure watching a liberal commander deploy soldiers despite the protests of a conservative state leader? Could right-wing citizens tolerate witnessing uniformed units mobilizing against demonstrations tied to movements they personally champion? Therefore, foundational legal protections must never hinge upon whichever political faction currently holds the reins of government. The representative obviously desired the official to document those vital protections, so observing his constant evasion instead of merely defining those limits truly ignited the intense atmosphere of the hearing. You need not admire the lawmaker or endorse every charge she leveled, yet citizens undeniably hold the privilege to expect total transparency regarding internal troop mobilizations, and the Pentagon chief must recognize why lawmakers pose such critical inquiries. The armed forces remain the property of the civilian populace. They do not serve as the personal asset of any specific executive, cabinet secretary, or ideological organization. This remains the core value the senator defended during the session, and irrespective of your personal voting habits, it represents an ideal demanding absolute preservation. Now I welcome your feedback on whether the legislator uncovered a massive flaw in the nominee's responses, or if you believe she transformed a valid safety procedure into mere partisan theater. Leave your opinions in the discussion section below, click the thumbs up, and follow the channel to receive further governmental analysis and legislative confrontations just like this one.